Hello and welcome back to my channel Reviews by Beth, where today I'm going to be talking about probably the most viral book at the minute, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, written by Sarah J Maas. This book has been everywhere on BookTok and I literally cannot escape it, so I thought I'd give you my brutally honest review on what I thought about this book. Now, I want to preface that I'm not a usual fantasy reader. I literally never really pick up fantasy. The furthest I go is usually like dystopian. I did read The Hobbit when I was a child, loved The Hobbit, but I didn't really get into The Lord of the Rings. I tend to go for more classical or historical fiction, romantic fiction as well. So this was definitely a wild card for me, but I saw it in Waterstones and I needed to pick it up and I just got it. So I just thought I'd take you through with some spoilers of what I thought about the book. Now, I actually was really surprised by this book because I thought I was going to hate it. Now, I am going to say that I did not really like the start. We follow a character called Thea, who is a huntress, and she is the protagonist of the story. And we're in a fairyland, and we get to see kind of this world building at the beginning, but we don't see the fairies. We kind of see this poverty stricken town that Thea is in, and she's having to provide for her family. And the story opens up with her in a field shooting down a wolf. And at the beginning, I kind of was like, I don't really understand the significance of this. I'm not really getting into it. Later on, you find out the very big significance of the beginning of the novel. So I get why there was a lot of story building. And I had seen online that you have to push through the first maybe 50 pages or so. The beginning, didn't love, was like, oh, not really sure. And then I got into it because as soon as Thea entered the world of Prithian and the High Lord Tamlin, that is where this book really comes into its own. And I literally just fell in love with this book about maybe a third of the way in, maybe not even that. And I was just like gripped to the point of I could not put this book down. So we kind of see her captured into this mysterious land where everybody is a fairy, so different to a human, and they have different ears, but they're under a spell because they all have masks on and something terrible is haunting their land. Maybe a bit like Narnia in the way that this kind of other is ruling the land and you kind of have a sense of doom. And then we get introduced to Tamlin, who is the High Lord of the Spring Court and is living in this massive mansion that's beautiful. We see Lucien as well, who's kind of his wingman. So Tamlin and Lucien, and then Thea is put into this and she's feeling very unsettled at the beginning of the novel. And it was obvious that there was going to be a love interest in one way, so I didn't know whether it was going to be Lucien, who's a bit more snarky, a bit more arrogant, or Tamlin. But then we find out that it's actually Tamlin we're going to have the love interest with. And the love story I could not get enough of. The tension that was built throughout was chef's kiss. Absolutely chef's kiss. I literally was like, ooh, kicking and screaming. It was written so well. You just totally wanted them to get together. There was also a lot of mystery. So Tamlin would go away and then you would care for him as well. I fell in love with Tamlin in this book. If you're liking the channel and its content, then please like, comment and subscribe. And if you really want to support the channel, then you can do so by using the Amazon link to buy the book. There are some parts in this novel where she goes out into a forest. So the house is surrounded by a forest with a lot of different creatures in, and Thea comes across quite a few different creatures. She has to hunt down something to find out the truth. She gets targeted by something else. She kills another big creature. It's quite, as much as it's romance, it's also adventure driven and there's a lot of action. So it's never boring. So those moments of romance almost are more calming and they hit even better because you just had this moment of extreme action to a moment of quiet with Tamlin, and it's just the way it's written and the way it's shaped is so good because you don't want to put it down. You don't want to put down when the romance bits are on, but then you're also reading page after page with the action. And so after the action, Tamlin sends Thea back home because there's too much danger for her. But then Thea turns back and she goes back to save her man. And then this is in the last third of the book, and I would say it's not really romance driven. It's a lot more action and it did almost feel like, maybe because I love the Hunger Games, but it did have a Hunger Games feel, because she meets the queen of the under the mountain. This dark thing that was ruling over and putting a shadow over everything was actually this character, which was Amarantha, who is this absolutely awful, evil fairy, queen fairy. And then Faya wants to release everybody, release this spell that she has over everyone, but to do that, she has to complete 3 tasks. So there's kind of that element to it. So she has to do all of these things, but obviously it's really dangerous for her. Then we meet another character called Reese or Reesan. I don't know how you say it, but he comes into the picture and he is initially shown as this horrible person. We get a bit of an arc. I could kind of see through it. We get a bit of a character arc with Reese, and that will be interesting to see where that goes. I can obviously see that there might be a bit of a love triangle in the second book. I haven't read the second book. I have no idea what's going to happen in there. But I'm predicting that there's going to be a bit of a love triangle. He kind of owns her for a week every month, so he's definitely going to be in the picture. And he does save Thea quite a few times when Tamlin seems quite helpless and doesn't say much, but obviously that love and desire for him is still there. Spoiler alert, they all live happily ever after, technically, at the end of the book, but it's left a bit open-ended, so it is obvious that other things are going to happen. So I am so excited to read the rest of the books, because I did not have high hopes for this whatsoever. If I'm gonna rate this out of 5, I'm gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5. I didn't do the 0.5 just because it was slow to get into at the beginning, but it was so good I just didn't want to put it down, and I need more. So my books are on the way and I'm so excited. I think it's A Court of Mist and Fury is the next one, and apparently that one's even better than this one. So I will let you know what I think about that. And yeah, that is A Court of Thorns and Roses, or ACOTAR. And did it live up to the hype on TikTok? In my opinion, yes, it did. Even though it was slow to begin with, it definitely lived up to the hype, and I am obsessed. So I want to read some more, and that is my take on A Court of Thorns and Roses. So if you liked this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to support us, please have a look at our Patreon. And that is all from me. So bye bye.